Today we're taking a look at the Amie studio monitors from Meyer Sound. Now for complete information on these monitors, head over to Sweetwater.com and check out the product page. Or better yet, contact your Sweetwater sales engineer and they can fill you in on all the details. And also, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, Meyer Sound, of course, is well known for their live sound gear. Their high-end speaker systems are so well respected. I mean, they're just fantastic. But they've also been involved in the studio market for a long time. In fact, they were one of the first to experiment with self-powered monitors in the studio. Their HD1 came out in 1989 and still remains a classic reference monitor for the studio. But these Amie monitors, they take things to an entirely new level. They're based off of Meyer Sound's very high-end screen channel loudspeakers. They derive their technology from that, but they're in a compact form factor, at least compact compared to those speakers. They fit nicely on your desk. They have a ton of power, but they're also very lightweight, coming in somewhere around 25 pounds, and this makes them great for install applications, for example, for immersive sound systems. The Amie speakers have been designed from the ground up for the most demanding, critical listening situations. They've been adopted in a lot of post-production studios, but they're also widely used for music production as well. And as we go through and talk about some of the things that they do and how they sound, you'll see why, because again, they're just ideal for so many different situations. They're designed to be true, accurate, and to have very consistent sound quality. In fact, each one is individually tested to ensure that they're accurate and completely consistent. They have near perfect impulse response and ultra low distortion, and part of that is the amount of power these speakers have. They actually have a total of 900 watts of power in each speaker, incredible amount of power. What that does is it gives them a ton of headroom, and that allows for very transparent, very clear audio reproduction, particularly with transients and low frequencies. So what we have here is a bi-amped two-way design. As I mentioned, 900 watts of total power. We're using Class D amplifiers, and again, that gives us high headroom, ultra low distortion. It gives us very accurate spatial imaging, and the imaging with these speakers is really astounding. And we also have very uniform tonal balance because there's plenty of power to drive those low frequencies, and then that matches very well with the high frequencies as well. There aren't a lot of controls, a lot of features, because these speakers are really optimized to sound great right out of the box. They do have built-in limiting. There's a status LED on the back that tells you what's happening there. There's some integral DSP inside, but all that's transparent to you as the user. You simply plug them in and they sound fantastic. We have a 1-inch silk-infused dome tweeter, and that's mounted into a constant directivity waveguide. This gives you wide horizontal dispersion and tighter vertical dispersion, which helps to minimize reflections off the desk and widens out the sweet spot. We have a 6.5-inch long excursion cone woofer, and it's been optimized for linear frequency response. Here on the bottom of the front panel, we have Meyer's proprietary low turbulence port. This helps to enhance the low frequency response as well as power handling. Speaking of the cabinet, as I mentioned, it's a very lightweight cabinet, but it's also been designed to be resonance-free. It comes in about 25 pounds. It has a textured surface on it that's very nice. And as you can see on the side of the monitors, there's actually mounting points there. There's an optional desktop stand for these that allows you to tilt the monitors front and back. And you also can hang these monitors from optional brackets on either the ceiling or the walls for surround and immersive applications. The frequency range of these speakers is 42 Hz to 20 kHz, and you'll be amazed at the low frequency output from these monitors. I really feel like it extends even lower than 42 Hz, and they'll generate a ton of output, up to 120.5 dB SPL. On the back panel, we have a speak-on power jack, which is more familiar for live sound applications, but of course works equally well here in the studio. And there's a power pass-through. You can chain the power for up to 7 of these Amie monitors together, which makes it very convenient for multi-speaker arrays for immersive and surround setups. We have an XLR input for balanced signals, and we also have an XLR pass-through for those audio signals. Now, speaking of multiple speakers, the Amies are available as a single speaker, as a pair of speakers, or you can get them in systems as well. Now, there's a matching subwoofer that goes with these, and you can set that up either as an extended range system, as a 2.1 system, or up to a 7.1 system using optional modules that go into that subwoofer. But you really want to listen to these first to see if you even need that subwoofer, because they put out a ton of low frequency energy. They're really solid sounding all the way down to the bottom of the frequency spectrum. Now, I've been listening to a variety of material on these here in my studio, and there's a couple of things that I just have to point out. One I mentioned already, and that's that extended low frequency response. It's so beautiful and so solid. But we also have incredible imaging with these. The ability to precisely locate where things are in the stereo image is really impressive. And that's high frequency detail, but there's no harshness and there's no stridency to the top end at all. It's very smooth, very warm, and it sounds very natural. We've got excellent dynamic response, and of course that is from the design of the monitors themselves. themselves, but also all that power we have for all that headroom that really enhances that dynamic reproduction. There's great depth to these speakers as well. You can really hear into the mix. I found myself hearing things that I'd never heard before in my own mixes, as well as other material that I was listening to here. You can really hear reverb tails dying away into the mix. You can hear things that you position farther back by putting a little bit of verb on them or a little delay to set them back in the soundstage. You really get a three-dimensional feel with these monitors. They sound like much bigger monitors than they actually are, and in fact, as you're listening, you'll find that these speakers tend to just disappear and you just have a soundstage in front of you. And that's a tremendous compliment, and it really is true with these speakers. So to sum things up, yes, the Amie speakers are a serious investment, but if you have the means, I highly recommend checking these out. Moving up to a set of speakers like these will change the way that you hear your mixes and the way you monitor in your room. They sound absolutely fantastic. It's an entirely different level when you move up to speakers of this class, and the Amie are an excellent example. I recommend you check them out. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.